Welcome all to the June 26th meeting of the Bridgewater Township Council. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, the adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 10th, 2024 by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the township clerk. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Councilman Kirsch?
Here.
Councilman Cordilla?
Here.
Councilman Pedroso?
Here.
Councilman Ring?
Good evening here.
President Nogales?
Yes. Councilman Cordilla, would you please lead us in the pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have the minutes of the regular session of June 12th, 2025. Has everyone had an opportunity to opine on those? If so, could I have a motion, please, on those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
A second, please.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are accepted. Township Council reports. Can we start with Alan Cordilla, please?
This evening, I have no report to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Kirsch, could we have your report, please?
Yes, I'm going to focus only on land use boards. Most recent meetings, the zoning board met 2 nights ago and completed the Starbucks case on 22. So that after 16 months, that was resolved in the applicant's favor. Considerable change was made to the original plan, and the belief of the zoning board is that best suits the needs of the community. And last night, the planning board met and adopted the fair share housing plan as was required before June 30th. That's my report.
That was good news. Thank you. Tim Ring, your report, sir.
Thank you, sir. I just have one item of note. Participated in an event last night with the Plan NJ group, a group that helps support special needs individuals throughout the area over at Somerset Patriots. And that's my report.
Thank you. Philip Pedroso, your report.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I just wanted to acknowledge the men and women of our armed forces that performed a very brave operation in the Middle East. I thank them for their service, and I appreciate the bravery. The council will be voting on the 2025 municipal and sewer budgets tonight. I prepared a proposed budget amendment for the council's consideration tonight. I asked the council president and clerk for it to be added to the agenda so the public could review it and offer feedback. I believe strongly in public participation, whether it's support or criticism. It matters in the decisions I make on your behalf. Although I had already emailed the proposal to the mayor and the council members, I wanted it on the agenda for full transparency. At 3:48 p.m., the clerk sent out a revised agenda that included my proposed budget amendment. But shortly after, the council president, without my consent, directed the clerk to remove it. At 4:27 p.m., the clerk issued another agenda with the item removed. It is unfortunate that the public wasn't given the opportunity to review and weigh in on these proposed changes. That decision was not mine. I brought printed copies and placed them in the back of the room. If you're watching from home, you can view the proposed budget amendment at bwtnj.com or on my council Facebook page by searching Pedroso Council. Thank you.
Thank you. My report is as follows. Summer is here in the heat wave. For those of you who passed it, we just passed the longest day of the year. The shortest one won't be for 6 months, but take time. PSE&G, using its selected paving company, has begun the widespread repaving of numerous streets distributed by its gas main replacement project. We're going to hear a little bit more about that from Mr. Burr in a few minutes. All work on the affected streets is expected to be completed before school returns in September. Based on the agreement with our administration, we can expect curb-to-curb work. Country Club has already been milled tomorrow, I understand from Bill Barr, that move on the meadow. For me personally, this is another year of grandchildren graduating from high school. Time and kids move on. My grandson, Lucas Travisano, graduated from Bridgewater High School last Thursday. The school used Jersey Mike's Arena at the Rutgers Athletic Center for an indoor graduation. Lucas will attend High Point University in North Carolina and major in economics and business analysis. The following day, my granddaughter, Grace Norgalis, who lives in Branchburg, graduated from Somerville High School in an outdoor graduation at Somerville Athletic Field. She is bound for the University of Georgia to be a veterinarian. When she called me very excited a couple of weeks back after she had decided and accepted, she said, "Grandpa, I'm going to be a bulldog," because that's now I know Georgia's Bulldogs. That is my report. Mayor or Administrator, report, sir. Okay. Under proclamations, we have none. Presentations at this point, under item 8, we have the 2025 road program. Bill, is that going to be you? Come on up.
Good evening. Let me get myself situated. Okay, thank you for having me. What I'd like to do is just try to keep this brief, but I want to give everybody kind of an overview of where we were at the beginning of 2020, 2021 until now. I want to put a bow on the 24 road program, and then I just want to talk a little bit about our 25 program and where we hope to be at the end of this year. So everyone is aware.
Bill, stand a little closer to the mic.
Sure.
There you go.
So when we started the comprehensive
Thank you.
road improvement plan back in 2020, 2021, this body committed to a 5-year plan, funded at $8 million a year. We just completed the 4th year of that 5-year plan. During that time, we've improved probably a little over 260 of the township's 600, a little over 600 roads. So almost half of the roads have been improved over the last 4 to 5 years. This year, we're gonna talk about it a little more in a minute, but this year we have a bond ordinance that's valued at less than $8 million, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So like I said, we have 260 plus or minus roads have been improved. That averages out to a little over 50 a year, 50 to 60 a year we've been improving, which I still pinch myself sometimes because the fact that we're able to pull it all together and get it done each year is, in my opinion, it's pretty impressive. A lot of work, a lot of effort goes into it. And it's very gratifying, frankly. So this year, we're proposing the same rationale that we've used the last 4 to 5 years, talking about the regional approach to improving the roads around town. We have 6 regions. Each year, we identify and we engineer a cluster of roads in each of those regions, put them out to bid, award contracts. Frankly, it's proven to be a very successful way of improving roads. A lot of contractor interest, very good bid prices. If I had to put a number on it, I would say you're saving at least 20% by grouping the roads together in each of those regions and attacking them in that manner. So very successful. Frankly, allowed us to get more roads done than we otherwise would have been able to. So when I was here, I think in December, we had talked about the 24 program. We gave everyone an update. At that point in time, we updated that all of the roads in the 24 program, with the exception of one small neighborhood, were completed. And that neighborhood was Perrine, Davis, Biddle, and Weaver, a cluster of roads right up off of Vassar Ave near Washington Valley. Those roads at the end of last year had not been completed. We committed to finishing them this year. They were done probably about a month ago. So as of now, with the exception of some minor punch list items from last year, the 2024 road program is complete. Moving on to this year. I mentioned this year, I think on the agenda is a $6.1 million bond ordinance that hopefully is up for introduction. Took a little bit different approach this year in putting together that ordinance. You've heard us talk previously about how aggressive we are and how successful we've been at getting grant money for road improvements. This year's bond ordinance really reflects a lot of those grants, and we're committed to try to get 3 for sure, maybe even 4 constructed under the 2025 ordinance, which I think makes up for the difference in 8 million down to 6.1 million. Because if you're taking a look at the slides, and I'll show you another one in a minute, we have just under $2 million worth of road grant money that we'd like to take advantage of. It's reimbursable grants, but the net impact on the road improvements should still allow us to get the equivalent of $8 million worth of road work done while utilizing those grants. So I think it's a great thing to highlight and frankly champion. And on the next slide, you're going to see a little bit more about that. This year's road plan, similar in terms of the number of roads that are included, similar in terms of the roadway mileage that's included. The major difference is that this year we're incorporating more alternate bid items. So we're trying to give ourselves a little bit more flexibility and frankly squeeze as much road work out of that ordinance as we can. We've implemented successfully alternate bid items in the past when we talk about our road packages. We're going to include a few more this year, and I think it's going to allow us to get as much bang for our buck as we can out of that 6.1 million. You see on your agenda, the bond ordinance lists a number of roadways. I forget off the top of my head, I think there's 10 roads listed. Those are the roads that we're committed to doing as part of the ordinance. When we flip to the next slide, you're going to see a little summary. I think you'll see. Yep. You're going to see a summary of those grants that I was talking about. First one is we have a $750,000 grant under the NJDOT Local Transportation Projects Fund. That's going to allow us to improve all of Van Vechten as well as South Ave off of Findern Ave. The second one is a Safe Routes to Schools grant for the Adamsville School neighborhood. It improves sidewalk across the frontage of the school, up Morgan Lane, and some of the other side streets. That was a grant we got a few years ago for almost $1 million towards the construction cost. What's included in this year's ordinance is the initial engineering fee, which is why 337 is listed. That amount is going to allow us to get going with engineering. That amount is fully covered by a separate grant that we obtained by DOT. The third project is an improvement to Country Club Road. Last year, we put in a grant application to improve the northerly stretch of Country Club north of Roosevelt up to the township border. It also includes Ardsley Lane and Goldfinch Drive out to Meadow. And you can see on the right side, I didn't mention the grant money, but you can see on the right side, 750, 337. This latest one for Country Club, 356,000. The last one is another NJDOT municipal aid grant. That's to improve the neighborhood of Plymouth, Jeffrey, and Ryan. That's up off of Crim Road right next to the Crim School by Washington Valley. And that one is just a little over $400,000. So when you take a look at the roads that are listed in the bond ordinance title, you take a look at these 10 or 11 roads, what you're looking at is about 20 or 22 roads. We have proposed almost 50 roads, but many of them are alternate bid roads. So we're really trying to give us maximum flexibility in getting, like I said, as much work done under that 6.1 as possible.
Bill, I have a question on this slide. Do you prefer to wait to the end, or you want to?
You can fire away, sure.
You mentioned the sidewalk in front of Adamsville School.
Right.
If that's along Route 28, wouldn't that be the state's responsibility,
Not the state's responsibility.
even though it's a state highway?
It's a state highway, and we have to get permission from the state, just like we would the county, but they're not going to propose to install sidewalk along that roadway.
Okay.
So it's commonplace for a municipality with the state or the county's consent to seek a grant, but they're not going to improve the sidewalk themselves. And frankly, Councilman, that's only a part of the project.
Understood.
We are wrapping it up other roads, but I understand your
We
point.
like kids better than they do. That's-
Exactly.
Really, last thing I want to touch on, and then I'll open up to any questions, is, Council President, to your point, PSE&G has been working since early this week, milling roads in that country club. I think they finished Country Club and Van Holten. Tomorrow, they're going to be working on, from the northern stretch of Meadow, making their way down towards Easton Turnpike. They're going to do some of the side neighborhoods. We'll see paving start next Tuesday, unless we get inclement weather next Tuesday, trying to minimize the length of time that the roads stay in that milled condition. Unfortunately, we have to wait through the weekend, and then they're going to start on Tuesday with paving on Country Club and follow the same sequence that they followed for the milling with the paving. So there's a slight chance it might be done before we break for the holiday. Worst case, paving will be completed Monday after the 4th. I think that's July 7th.
It's almost too hot to pave the last couple days anyway, isn't it?
Very hot,
It would never cure.
very hot. It will take longer.
Yeah.
It will certainly take longer.
And if you allow people to drive on it too soon, they're just going to tear it up.
The road would be rutted.
Yeah.
So it's actually, it's a good point. It's worked out in our favor because trying to keep the detours and the interruptions to a minimum, if you put that asphalt down when it's 100 degrees out, we're going to have to keep them closed a little bit longer. So,
Yeah.
but that's all I have right now.
Any other question? Go
What
ahead.
happens if it's hot for a couple of days? Say we get 3 days in a row at 100-degree temperature. Is it reasonable to think that that neighborhood would not have access to their homes?
No, I guess I'm trying to follow you, Councilman. If we have a 100-degree temperature for several days in a row, it's still going to cool down in the evening. So if we pave in hot weather, it's still going to cure. It just might take a couple of hours more. And then it's not an extended period. It's a few hours more. So if we open the road up at, say, 4 o'clock normally, we may have to keep it closed till 6 or 7. But once the nighttime temperatures come down to a reasonable level, the road will set up for sure overnight, and there'd be no issues with it.
Okay, thank you.
And Council President, I just had a few quick comments that I wanted to highlight. First of all, I want to thank the council for the council's continued commitment to $8 million a year road project. This is the 5th year in a 5-year commitment, and after this year, we will reassess with Bill's help and, of course, with input from the council about where we go going forward. So just because we're completing 5 years, I don't want anybody to think that we're not doing more roads. The question will be, how do we approach it? Do we do the same approach? Do we have a multi-year plan? Do we, the goal ultimately is to be able to, when we first started this, there was a lot of roads that were in extremely bad condition. And of course, the worse the condition of the road, the more costly it is to do. So the initial goal was to get in there and address the worst roads as quickly as possible to make sure they didn't get even worse, to stop roads from going from not great to that worst condition. So that way we can make the dollar go longer. And we can get more, when we're repaving roads that don't need to be reconstructed, we can get more mileage done. So we will take a look at that going forward, with the idea being that we'll continue to do an aggressive road program, but we may recommend less than $8 million a year going forward, which was ultimately the goal. I also want to thank Bill and his team and the finance team, everyone that worked with us to get some of this grant money. It's really phenomenal that we can continue to do this project, but be able to do it this year with a significant amount of money, which doesn't come out of our taxpayers. One of the things that we talked about was because these are reimbursable grants, we have to, there's other challenges. It's like Camp Cromwell. The federal government comes and they give you a $4 million check, but it's not really a check. You're going to spend your money and then go get it back again. So we were creative this year in terms of how we use the grant money to be able to implement it, to put $8 million a year this year into the roads, and to do it at less cost to our taxpayers. And the last thing I want to highlight, just for anybody who's, I think the council knows this, but for the members of the public, with the work being done by the utility companies, we work with them as much as possible. It's not perfect sometimes, but to make sure that we know what roads they're doing, so that we are not, if we know someone's doing a road, we'll get a call from a resident that says, why aren't you paving our road? It's really bad. And we know, we know, but if PSE&G or the water company is going to be either doing that road next year or a year or so out, well, we don't want to be paving it just for them to tear it up again. The other thing that we've done is to coordinate with them with regard to, like my road, it was done, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Half of it's paved from the center line to the curb. The other half is not. And I don't know about other residents, that drives me insane because one half is bad. It's not even part. It's literally you drive down the road, nice paving, bad paving. So what we've done is worked with PSE&G or the water company to say, we don't want you to do that. So on the roads where they're not required to redo the whole thing, Bill and Mike and everybody involved has worked to, get some roads where we don't want any roads that are partially paved like that. So if, I'm making this up, but if PSE&G is required to do a mile of roadway, we'd rather that be, a mile that's completely done. And then that maybe means that the next year we're having to make up the other half of those other roads if it doesn't cover everything. But we've worked with them to make sure that it's being done in the most efficient way possible, both from their money and from ours, to maximize the road work. So, Bill, thank you very much for all your work on this, and for everybody that, as part of your team that's done this. It's a major accomplishment for the number of roads that we've done. So thank you.
You're welcome. And Bill, I personally want to thank you for your leadership. You have probably received a few more calls from me than probably anybody else in the township.
Maybe not.
We'll let him decide that. But you've always been here. You're very responsive. You call back and you do a great job. And I'm looking forward to a successful 25 road program again.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a comment.
Yes, sir.
Something I surfaced last year in a discussion of the roads and some of the stuff PSE&G. The county has posted that starting July 9th, they're working on North Bridge Street. Not the worst section, but section's actually in pretty decent shape. Don't know what they're doing, but as we're closing roads and all that, I just point that out because I get frustrated when we don't talk to one another and you can't get anywhere easily when multiple roads are closed in an area. So
The water company has approached us. I guess they have identified that there's an issue with the water main on North Bridge Street.
there's multiple water main issues.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a regular
From
occurrence.
the firehouse at Green Knoll down to,
Boat Drive is what they're talking about.
so they've approached us. They've collaborated with both engineering as well as PD to come up with a traffic control plan, but they do have plans. Unfortunately, the county just repaved that stretch of road, which I think speaks to the collaboration and the communication between all the parties. Try to avoid it, but sometimes
They
it
only
happens.
paved to Woodlawn Lawton.
Excuse me?
They didn't pave that whole stretch. They've only paved part of it.
Right, the northerly
Right,
end.
the North, yeah.
Correct. Yep.
But the section from Prince Rogers to 22 is what needs to be paved.
So we're just waiting for some final updates, and then we have plans to post updates as well on our
Okay.
township's website. We'll keep an eye on it.
Thank you again, Bill,
You're welcome.
sharing this time.
Thank you, Bill.
Our next mini speaker here will be Sergeant Jamie Edwards.
Lieutenant.
Who's the OEM
Lieutenant.
Office of Emergency Management.
Council President, it's Lieutenant.
I beg your pardon, Lieutenant.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Good evening. There's a resolution before the council tonight asking them to adopt the Somerset County Hazard Mitigation Plan and Bridgewater's participation in that plan. So we just wanted to give you a brief overview of what the hazardous mitigation plan is. So a lot of what we do in emergency management is not responding to a disaster. We do a lot of work ahead of time in preparing and mitigating against damages to personnel, people, and property. So what the hazard mitigation plan does is it analyzes vulnerabilities to a township, and in this case, Somerset County and Bridgewater Township and the surrounding areas, and then look at our strengths, our weaknesses, and areas that need improvement. And we try and do that before disaster strikes. And this is an ongoing project. It's done, I think it's done every 5 years. The last time it was fully adopted was 2019. And it's basically a living document. As storms and hazards come, we reevaluate it and look at our list. So one of the things that we do in each municipality, again, each municipality has a plan that's part of Somerset County's plan, is we look at some of our problem areas. Now, if you look at our vulnerabilities in Bridgewater, we're susceptible to flooding in certain areas and severe storms and power outages. So we have an ongoing project list. In the 2019 update, we had a list of projects. Many of them were unable to complete because we didn't have funding, we didn't have personnel, but they're priorities and they're listed in orders of priorities. So for example, one of the items that dropped off our list this year was the Blossom Drive drainage project because engineering was able to get funding from another source to complete that project. So what we did this year is we worked with engineering, public works, municipal services, and looked at some of our problem areas that have been flooding, especially after Ida and around Ida, and we added those projects in poor drainage areas to the list. That doesn't mean that we're going to complete the projects. It basically means that they're on our the horizon. We understand their issues, but we have challenges of money, personnel, and again, funding. So that's the broad overview of hazard mitigation. The other important part to keep in mind is that according to the Federal Disaster Act, Mitigation Act of 2000, a community is required to adopt a hazard mitigation plan in order to be eligible for any federal funding pertaining to mitigation. And that includes a flood mitigation assistance program, a hazard mitigation grant program, or something called the BRIC program, which I've heard is going away, but that's building resilient infrastructure in communities. So we're kind of required to adopt this in order to be eligible for funding related to mitigation of hazards. And a quick reminder, what happens, has historically happened, is the government has a certain pot of money. I think like the mayor addressed that you have to put the money out ahead of time for a grant. You get the grant, it's great. You put the money out and then they'll pay you back. But after disasters, there's usually another pot of money that helps to address areas that were impacted and to try and mitigate those hazards. So the opportunities are out there sometimes, and what this plan does is identifies them, puts them on our wish list, and it's available for the public to see. The Somerset, if you do an internet search for Somerset County Hazard Mitigation Plan, the draft plan is available.
So if I understand correctly, Bridgewater Township has contributed to the overall Somerset County
Correct.
plan.
So if you look at the county's website for hazard mitigation, each municipality has its own plan. And to the best of my knowledge, every municipality participates in the plan. And think about it, the nice thing about that is we can look at, for example, Bernards to our north. A lot of our problems when it floods comes from up north. And I'm sure their problems come from further upstream, but it gives us the opportunity to look at everybody else's issues and see what they're experiencing as well.
And look for regional solutions.
Theoretically, yes.
Any other questions for Jamie? I had asked him to come because the term hazardous mitigation sounds more ominous than, well, it's important, but I wanted people to be able to put context, and thank you, Jamie, you've done exactly that. And by the way, in terms of getting FEMA money back, I don't think anybody's worked harder than Jamie in terms of trying to squeeze dollars back from FEMA, and been very successful over the year, but so thank you for your efforts. Okay, we're now moving to item number 9, which is meeting open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will be allowed 3 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. May I have a motion to open to the public, please?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are open to the public. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come forward, sign in on the dais, and let us know what's on your mind.
Ann and I, 671 Country Club Road. Just wanted to say thank you. The street lamp was put up. Nighttime has been a lot better, so you don't hear horns honking 11 o'clock at night because someone is flying and they can't see the person at the stop sign. Bill, you could take 4 weeks to pave that road. I don't care. It slows people down. So I watched someone with his undercarriage go flying 2 days ago because he wasn't paying attention. He was flying and he hit a manhole. So you could take as long as you want. It's all good. So I wanted to say thank you. I know every crash I came in here complaining, but it was serious. So hopefully it helps, but thank you.
Thank you. Bob Albano, when he left the council years ago, left me with the job of keeping note of nice things that people would say about the council. I can add that to the list. You're welcome.
You can.
Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward.
Seeing none, I would make a
Well,
motion, we close the
I
public.
think we do see motion in the back, but thank you. Hold that in abeyance. I think John has something he wants to share with us.
John Arcola, 1110 Washington Valley Road. I don't know, I've been using a lot of AI tools on my phone recently, and I see that there's going to be a data center opening at the Graymart building. And where I'm coming from is that data centers use a tremendous amount of power, electricity, megawatts of power, and it's one of the number one reason why utility rates have gone up. So when you see your bill go up by 20% this month, it's not because somebody's building too many solar panels or wind turbines. It's AI. It's these search engines. For example, I got a book off Amazon. It said it was going to be in English. It turned to be in Italian. So I used the AI to take a picture of the page in the book, and immediately when I tried to translate in the AI program, the English translation came through. It's very powerful. It's very useful, but it's going to really saddle us in New Jersey with higher electric rates. Is there anything that the town can do about putting requirements that these data centers limit their amount of power they use from the power company? They can propose a 10, 20 megawatt power plant. So it's going to really just drive our electric rates through the roof. There's no easy answer for it. It's also going to drive global warming because all this power is going to be coming from natural gas or coal. It's not going to come from renewable energies, green energy. So, and the second thing I want to talk about tonight is that back in 2021, I was verbally called out in an inappropriate manner by the mayor. And I see that he continues to do this to other residents and now to council members. Is there anything that you can do, Howard Nogales, to lecture him or censure him to get him to behave?
There is nothing that I, in my capacity, want to do or intend to do in any way to limit the verbiage of anybody seating at this dais. That includes the mayor, that includes the attorney, and includes anybody here.
He strikes out in a very verbal outburst. It's documented. It is
in the eye of the beholder. Those kinds of conversations tend to be two ways, and to bring up something from 4 or 5 years ago is probably not germane.
It's recent as of a year, last year or two.
But thank you for your thought.
Thank you. Good day.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing now, Alan, you're up.
One second. One second. Mr. Orcolio, I acknowledge your comment.
Wait a minute.
Regarding AI, however, I think you should really focus on the failed energy policies of Governor Murphy. The fact that he has diminished our capacity of coal, the fact that he doesn't give any attention to nuclear, the fact that he has not had an energy policy for the past 7 years is really the fault why our energy bills are going up. Plus, a constant pushing people to drive electrical vehicles and pushing electrical mandates also contribute to the demand on our power supply and the cost of energy. So there are many factors that are impacting our energy costs besides the
Renewable
use
energy
of AI and data centers.
Please.
I mean, you brought this up. I mean,
yeah. And I'm going to stop it. Alan, could I have the motion to close
Make
public?
a motion to close public
Could I have
portion.
a second on that? I'll second it. All those in favor of closing, say aye. Opposed? We're closed for public input. Thank you. Okay, we're now moving to item 10, which is the public hearing on the 2025 municipal budget. So can I have a motion to reopen to the public for?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are now open for the public hearing on the 2025 budget. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come forward to the dais.
Seeing no one, I move to close public hearing.
Second, please.
I'll second that.
Roll call on closing the public meeting, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Codilla?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Okay, moving to 10B, which is the 2025 budget amendment. Mr. Pappas or Mayor, who wants to?
The budget amendment that's in front of you is just a minor issues. There's the miscellaneous revenue, which was to address FEMA money, one of the things mentioned earlier. So there's revenue added that we received from FEMA. We have a Clean Communities grant that was received, so that's added as well. And we also updated the Somerset County Challenge grant. Overall, the changes result in a decrease of the amount to be raised by taxation by $6,717.34.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It cleaned up a number of things that were moved between documents. If there are no questions on B, the 2025 budget amendment, I'd like a motion to approve that.
Mr. President, just a brief question.
Yes, sir.
For the mayor, or for the administrator, or for our CFO. Would you say that these changes are, within reason of standard practices of introducing a budget?
Yeah, this is just, we get grants in throughout the year. So when it happens outside of the budget time frame, you'll see special items, the resolutions that. So this is the items, oh, sorry, I'm on the microphone. So this is the items that, from the time we introduced it until now, that resulted in changes because of the grants.
So largely a timing issue.
Yeah, and we get grants throughout the year, so that's why you'll see resolutions throughout the year on those.
Thank you.
Just a point of order, Mr. Council President.
Yes,
This
sir.
is just for the budget amendment. We are going to then have a discussion on the overall budget in the next item.
I'm sorry, Philippe, I could not.
That's fine. I think I did gibberish that. We are voting purely on that budget amendment, and then we will discuss the overall 2025 municipal budget as the next item.
Yes, it's the next
So
item.
there's two votes here.
Yeah, okay. Roll call on B, 10B, please. Did I get a second?
I'll make a motion.
Motion? Second?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Codilla?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
No.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Okay, we're now up to 10C, which is the adoption of the 2025 municipal budget.
Council President, just a few quick points. I think everyone has this information, but just to remind the council and the public, this year's budget is a $51,400,000 budget. The overall budget increase is 1.077%, which obviously is way below inflation of 2.9%. There was a question at some point at one of the prior meetings from a resident. What this amounts to is a it's 0.001 increase in the tax rate, which is, if your home value stayed the same, it's a $6 tax increase, is what that amounts to. The average home has gone up, so as we mentioned at the introduction, based on averages, the average household will see a $34 total increase. $6 of that is from the increase in the tax rate. The other portion of that, the other $28, is based on the average home assessment. Obviously, depending on your specific home and value, and changes in it will impact whether you see your taxation go up or down, or with the exact numbers. That's the average. As a reminder to the public as well, even though we send out your tax bills, only 11% of your overall tax bill is ours, so to speak. So 11% is what you pay to the, well, you pay everything to the township, but 11% is what we keep. The other amount is sent to the various entities who receive that money. And somebody had emailed me recently asking a question about the assessments, just so the public understands too, is that the assessment, both the tax assessor as well as the assessment, we have a vendor that helps do those. We don't control that, even though it's a township employee. They actually report to the county tax board. So we don't, as any township, not just us, but, we don't have the ability to go in and tell the tax assessor, what we think a property should or shouldn't be worth or how they assess it. That's done by the tax assessor's office with the consultants that get used for that. So that's not something that we directly control. Other than that, we're very proud of this budget compared to what is going on around us in other communities, as well as what we've seen throughout the country with regard to inflation and increased costs. To be able to deliver a budget that only goes up by 1% with inflation without cutting services is something that we're very proud of. Last 2 points briefly is that, remember, our budget is made up of money we receive through taxation as well as money that we receive from alternate sources. So that could be your taxes, that could be grant money, that could be the money we receive from the mall, hotel occupancy taxes, all those things go into the budget. So when we put together the budget, we have to look not just at spending, but also revenue. So if mall revenue is down, or hotel tax revenue is down, or grant money is down for, or a couple of years ago, we sold a liquor license. Well, you have that one year, you don't have it the other. So all those things go into it, which is why you can see a overall spending increase of only 1%, but some other items go up because we are balancing not just expenditures, but also revenue. Last but not least, I thank the council for all of your input over the budget over the past 4 or 5 months that we've all been working on this. I did receive late amendments from Councilman Pedroso for the first time last night. They're not a serious proposal, and I'm not going to waste anyone's time going through them all line item by line item. But they include things such as cutting $100,000 from recreation, which would be elimination of the basketball program, cutting $300,000 from sewer, which is a bill that's given to us by SRVSA. So apparently we're not going to pay for the sewer bill, as well as not paying for fire hydrants. So I don't know which residents aren't going to get fire hydrants working in front of their house, or which houses are not going to have sewer working, or which families don't get recreation programs. But the proposed amendments by Councilman Pedroso are an election year stunt, not meaningful governance, and our residents deserve better. So thank you to the other 4 members who have collaborated over 4 months on this process, and I appreciate your input. Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion on the adoption of the 2025 municipal budget, please.
I have some comments.
Briefly, please.
Thank you, sir. I did provide a serious recommendation for budget modifications. I have a brief statement on that. Real estate taxes in Bridgewater have gone up too much. In fact, in the past 4 years, your taxes have gone up 22%. It's time to give relief to the taxpayers who shoulder this burden. Tonight, I'm proposing a budget amendment that keeps municipal taxes flat, and by flat, I mean truly flat. I don't mean keeping the tax rate flat, because when property values rise, that still results in a higher tax bill. What I'm proposing is that residents pay the same amount in 2025 as they did in 2024. Let me be clear. If your home is assessed at the average Bridgewater value of $576,459, you likely paid $1,372 in municipal taxes last year. Under this budget amendment, you'll still pay exactly the same, $1,372 this year. And I don't have to go through some smoke and mirror calculation about fooling you about a $6 tax increase. To accomplish that, we need to lower the tax rate from 0.290 to 0.238. This budget amendment makes thoughtful, targeted reductions, mostly in the other expenses line across departments. But it does not touch our police budget, it does not cut funding for senior services, and it protects essential services. I have always supported our police, and I will continue to ensure they have what they need to keep us safe. This proposal also respects and protects the hardworking men and women who serve this township, with one exception. No jobs are eliminated. The only proposed staffing reduction is in the Office of Constituent Relations, a department that, frankly,
Philippe, I need to caution you, if you're going to provide negative comments about any organization.
I'm not, Howard. Thank you.
I'm
I'm not providing any negative comments about any
Can you
organization, Howard.
conclude your comments?
I'm going to do my comments in my fair time. As you said before, that you don't censor people from talking. So, the only proposed staffing reduction is in the Office of Constituent Relations, a department that, frankly, has become top-heavy. Many residents have voiced concerns about this office, and I agree with them. Every other department keeps its staff and leadership, and I thank all of them for their service. Making budget changes at this stage is not unusual. In 2019, then Councilman Matthew Mensch and I, both on the Budget Finance Committee at the time, introduced a modified budget at adoption. We also made substantial cuts. Mayor Hayes warned of disaster, but the township did just fine, and taxpayers benefited. So tonight, I'm asking this council to do what's right. This amendment protects core services, trims excesses, and reflects the sound fiscal responsibility our residents expect. Let me briefly address the
Philippe,
sewer.
you're far afield at this point.
I'm not, Howard.
Your amendment.
You're trying to
is not-
censor me
is
from
not-
speaking
is
and
not
addressing
posted.
my constituents.
You're
trying to censor me from speaking and addressing my constituents. I am allowed to address the voters who elected me. I'm here to serve them.
We are at the point.
I'm sorry if you don't like what I'm saying, Howard. I'm entitled to speak to the voters who elected me. I am representing them right now. Let me briefly address the sewer budget, which, by the way, has gone up 33% in 4 years. The township is clearly collecting more than needed. It's proven by the plan to shift $730,000 from sewer surplus into the municipal budget. Let's give some of that back. I propose a $21.63 refund per household this year and a lower sewer rate going forward. We've been ripping off the residents for too long. It's fair, it's reasonable, and it's the right thing to do. This amendment, this proposed amendment, is good for our taxpayers. It provides for no tax increase and simultaneously refunds $21.63 from the sewer bill back to our residents. I hope you will join me in supporting it. Thank you, sir.
Motion to adopt, please.
Mr. President, I'd like to speak briefly, and I promise it
Yes,
will
sir.
be brief.
But please be brief.
It will be brief, because we've had this story before. We've had a process that's been exceptionally successful. It's been collaborative. The Budget and Finance Committee, which for the last few years has been myself and Councilman Ring, have devoted a considerable amount of time with the administration, with key employees of the town to really understand needs. We operated in a collaborative environment. We had multiple meetings, multiple opportunities for feedback. And that's how we reached this budget. To come in with $1 million of cuts at the 11th hour, I mean, certainly we should always consider new and creative ideas, but this is highly irregular. It deviates from our established orderly process. And just one item that really needs to be set straight was a comment was made related to the sewer utility that we are, I'm going to quote, ripping off residents. Related to the sewer utility, our council president, Howard Norgalis, has taken considerable time, effort, and energy to really understand the inner workings of that system and how critically important it is. Knowing that Council President Norgalis was going to be leaving council, I've taken upon myself to educate myself about the system, including trips to the floor of both of our pumping stations. I'm not aware of anyone else on this dais that's done that. I say that not to be a hero, but to illustrate that it's important to understand that system, what keeps it going, and threats that it may not continue to operate as we wish it will. We must invest appropriately in that system because our residents depend on it. There is no ripping off going on. We are investing so that when residents of this town flush their toilet, the stuff goes away and doesn't back up into their house. So for all these reasons, I will be gladly supporting the budget. It is a collaborative budget. It is largely, it is an investment not only in our community of today, but for the future. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Well, and I'll make the motion to
Okay,
approve.
can I have a second on adoption of the 2025?
I'll make that second, Councilman. However, could I make a comment, please? Short one?
Brief.
Promise it's short.
I'm after you, so.
All right. We've heard some comments tonight with some, what I consider some negative thoughts. Heard some comments with some very positive thoughts. Councilman Kirsch, I assure you, I've been to the pit in Gilbride Pumping Station also.
I apologize that I did
Now,
not know
As
that.
far as the budget process that we go through, if anybody thinks it's not painful, you're missing the boat. Here's the initial budget. Here's the next revision to the budget. Here's the next revision to the budget. Here's the next revision to the budget. Councilmen Kirsch and Ring and Norgalis have done a tremendous job this year in working with the administration, and the administration has done a great job working with the council to answer questions and, quite frankly, deal with some issues that were not easy to deal with. I plan to support the budget tonight out of respect for the work that was done by Councilman Kirsch and Councilman Ring, and by Mike Pappas and Mayor Mensch and the administration. It's never an easy process. It's real easy to sit back and take shots at it. I prefer to say thank you for the job that you did, guys. You did the residents of Bridgewater well.
Yeah, I just want to add that from.
Thank you, sir. My comments, I'll be brief. I think I've said this before. A budget is not a perfect process. There's give and take. It's a collaborative effort to put together a budget. Everyone has different priorities, different views and beliefs, and it's finding that balance. And there is a lot of work that went into this budget. I did receive a last-minute proposal about a little over 24 hours before tonight's meeting. I did start going through it. As we've heard tonight, that proposal would not cut any salaries other than an OCR. However, in many cases, it cuts several departments. It cuts their budget below what their actual costs were in 2024, which means we're cutting programs for our residents, cutting services. We're cutting snow removal. You heard recreation. Tonight we have on our agenda award of contract for tax assessment for $89,000 under the proposed budget amendment that we've heard talked about tonight. We couldn't even award that contract because that's been cut to $64,000, $25,000 below the actual contract. So I think we need to put that aside, and as Councilman Condrilla said, look at the collective effort done, and I think we have a budget. And
Roll call, please.
I have one additional comment.
No.
I'm entitled.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordilla?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
No.
Councilman Ring?
yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. Okay. We're now moving to item 11, introduction of ordinances. A is a bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $6,100,000 for various road improvements, including but not limited to Monroe Street, Jackson Street, Villa Drive, Cabot Hill Road, Sunset Drive, Miners Drive, Ridge Road, Middle Road, Blomer Farm Road, and Blazer Road, including curbing, milling, paving, drainage, sewer, and miscellaneous improvements, various road overlays, and sidewalk improvements throughout the township, in and by the Township of Bridgewater in the County of Somerset, New Jersey, and authorizing the issuance of $5,795,000 bonds or notes of the township for financing parts of the appropriation. Mayor or Administrator have any additional comments? I know we've covered this pretty thoroughly before.
The only very brief comment, just as a reminder to the residents that and council, the roads that are listed on this ordinance are not the entire list of roads, but as Mr. Burr pointed out, there are, when we go out to bid, we will put different, add-ons, options to the packages so that we can try to make sure that we're getting the best deal to maximize number of roads. So these are the main roads of which we're going to build around, and we will add to that list as we get bid packages back.
Could I have
Move 11A.
I have a comment.
Could I have a second, please?
I'll second.
I have a
Okay,
comment.
your comment?
Sure, thank you, sir. I support roads being repaired, and I am generally okay with the 6.1 million number. However, since it comes out of a bond, out of the broader budget package, and I think the budget is excessive, I'm going to have to vote no. In reference to the sewer items listed in the budget, I'd just like to note that since from 2020 to 2024, our sewer bill has only increased 3.4%, but yet we've raised the sewer bill on residents 33%. That's important to note.
After the sewer bill, after the sewer rate
could I
didn't
have a
change
roll-
for 12 years.
A roll call on 11A, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes,
Councilman Pedroso?
No.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. 12A, resolutions. Resolution, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. The public hearing and final action for this bond ordinance is scheduled for July 10, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. here in the municipal courtroom. Public inspection of this ordinance is available on the township website, the bulletin board, and in the clerk's office.
Thank you, Grace.
Welcome.
Okay, Resolution 12A, approving a shared municipal court agreement between the Township of Bridgewater and the Borough of Somerville for a term of 3 years, commencing on January 1st, 2025, and ending on December 31st, 2027. This has been a successful program over the years, and obviously we want to continue it. Mr. Pappas or Mayor, is there anything you folks would like to add to this?
No, it continues to be a good program, and it's benefited both communities.
Hey, could I have a motion, please, on 12A?
I'll make that motion.
A second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, 12A.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes,
Councilman Pedroso?
1 second, I lost my page. So sorry.
What just happened?
We're waiting for Philippe.
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes. 12B, Somerset County 2025 Hazardous Mitigation Plan Update Municipal Adoption Resolution. I would move that. Could I have a second, please?
I'd like to, before we go that far, if I may,
Sure.
I'd like to actually propose a revision to
Oh,
this
okay.
resolution.
The word- Yes, sir. Yes.
Based upon the presentation tonight, it's my understanding we have contributed to the Somerset County
I'll tell
Hazardous.
you what, let's get the second, and then you can make your change.
Well, no, because I think we want to move it as amended.
Yeah, but you can amend it.
But you're, okay. So the second whereas, it says prepared a multi-hazard mitigation plan known as the Somerset County. I'd like to delete the word prepared and change that to contributed to. It suggests we wrote the overall county plan and we did not.
That's fine.
okay.
So I will move that as amended.
Okay. And the second was?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller?
Yes,
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Nogales.
Yes. Thank you, Lieutenant. C is authorizing an award of contract to Appraisal Systems Incorporated to perform professional appraisal inspections and related services in connection with the Township Reassessment Program in an amount not to exceed $89,400 for the period of June 27, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Mr. Pappas, did you have comments on this? I know this has been
This has been an annual process to assist the assessor in completing his responsibility.
and they've been the one we've been using for years, and it has been successful.
Correct.
Okay. Could I have a motion, please, on C?
I'll make that motion.
Second, please.
Second.
If there's any other discussion, if not, call for the roll, please.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller,
Yes.
Councilman Pedrosa,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Nogales.
Yes. D is authorizing acceptance of the project for the original contract amount of $237,500, release of the performance bond, acceptance of the maintenance bond, and final payments to HM Company LLC, 3 Orlando Drive, Fairfield, New Jersey, 07004, for the senior center improvements funded through the CB Block Grant, COVID-19 Resiliency Program, and 2024 Capital Fund. That has been a very successful program. God only knows the senior center needed a lot of work. Any other, may I have a motion, please, on D?
I'll make that motion.
And a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call, please, on D.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller,
Yes.
Councilman Pedrosa,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Nogales.
Yes. E, request for a waiver of fire permit fee in the amount of $240 for the Bridgewater United Methodist Church, 651 Country Club Road, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807, in connection with the use of fire pit for outdoor church services and events for the month of July as follows: July 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30, from 7 to 8 p.m.
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call, please, on E.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Cordiller,
Yes.
Councilman Pedrosa,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
President Nogales.
Yes. I'd like to do 13C through consent, A through D. I'll read them as follows. A is 2025 and 2026 renewal of the plenary retail consumption liquor license, 1806-33-011-009 for Fogo de Char, Churrasco, 400 Commons Way. All right, I admit I didn't get it right. Suite 279, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807. If they only had a simpler name, it would be easy.
We'll go
for
to
me.
Chalice, they're simpler now.
Well, that would have been easy. B is 2025-2026 renewal of plenary retail consumption license number 1806-33-014-012 for Bridgewater Tavern LLC, 1288 Route 22 East, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807. C is 2025-2026 renewal of club license 1806-31-035-002 for Gerard Abrego, post number 327, American Region, 77 Old York Road, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807. D is renewal of the plenary retail consumption inactive liquor license number 1806-32-003-006 for Solo Bridgewater LLC for the 2025-2026 licensing term pursuant to PL 2023 C290, the Inactive Liquor License Reform Act, which amends NJSA 33:1-12.39 and modifies requirements for inactive retail liquor licenses, including establishing expiration dates for quartile list licenses. Unless there are any questions, could I have a motion on A through D?
Apologize, I do have a question because something just came to light on that with me that's a little puzzling. Grace, 1288 Route 22 on B, Bridgewater Tavern, inactive status, that's the old Houlihan's that's now Stone, whatever it is,
I'm sorry.
Stone Tavern.
It's not inactive, it's active.
But the resolution says it's currently held in inactive status.
It's a mistake.
Okay.
The agenda, though, is correct.
Okay,
The agenda is correct.
because this copy says inactive, so we
Okay.
just need to modify that
It will be. Okay, so was that a motion?
as modified.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please, A through D.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cordillo?
Yes.
Councilman Pedroso?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Nogales?
Yes, we're up to item 14, closed session, contract negotiations for affordable housing, shared services agreement, and litigation with Warren Township. I anticipate no additional business after the closed session, so we will simply adjourn. Could
Council
I-
President, may I have a minute before we go to closed session? Very, very short, but I think it's important. Sure. I see we have our CFO here this evening, Bill and his staff, and I think in our discussion on the budget, we talked about the council activity, the administration's activity. Bill, you and your staff did a lion's share of the work also, and I'd just like to recognize that and thank you for the work that you all have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Excellent. Okay, could I have a motion to go to closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, let me get my piece of paper so I can read the boilerplate.
Second the motion.
Okay. Be it resolved by the Bridgewater Township Council that this body will now hold a closed session to discuss litigation and contract negotiations, shared services agreement, affordable housing, Warren Township. When and if the matters discussed become public record, this will be made known to the public at that time. The public is excluded from said meeting, and further notice thereof is dispensed with all in accordance of Sections 8 and 4A of the Open Public Meetings Act. All those in favor of going to closed session signify by saying aye.
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 All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We are closed, and we will not do anything afterward. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have completed a very, very short and productive closed session, and we are now up to my favorite motion, which is adjournment. And may I have the motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Mike, take care, buddy. You gonna take him home?
Yeah, well, we'll